Hello everyone, this is part 35 of What If Naruto Came Back to Claim His Family's Name, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Later on that day, Kushina sat on the edge of the deck in her backyard just thinking and looking out over the small pond filled with fish and some small frogs. Suddenly her mother sat next to her. "Something is bugging you," stated Sakura as she looked at her daughter. "Mom, how did you get Dad to love you?" asked Kushina. "I didn't have to," said Sakura, "he had to wait for me." "Yeah, but I bet by the time you were my age you knew that you would be with Dad," stated Kushina as Sakura started laughing. "Not even close. I saw him as my best male friend but was still trying to get Sasuke to come home. Then after we got him back I did everything in my power to try and get him for myself. It was only when your dad returned when we were about 20 did I start falling for him, but when I did I feel hard and never stopped falling," said Sakura. "How did you know when you were in love with Dad?" asked Kushina. "I can't really answer that question for you, dear. Everyone is different, you will know when it comes around," said Sakura. "Also, it wasn't till Sasuke and Ino were 17 that they fell for each other. So don't worry if it takes Fugaku time to come around." "How did you know it was him?" asked a stunned Kushina as her mother smiled. "Please, I knew you had a crush on him since you were 6 years old and you gave him a piece of your birthday cake," said Sakura as she smiled at her daughter who had a slight blush came across her face. "It's just I don't know how to get him to go out with me," said Kushina. "Have you ever just asked him?" asked Sakura as Kushina shifted in her seat. "Well, no. It's just part of my dream that Fugaku asks me out and sweeps me off my feet," said Kushina with dreamy eye. "Dear, this is Fugaku Uchiha we are talking about. He is like his father and that means what he likes to do is training. Also, what is wrong with you asking him?" asked Sakura as Kushina shrugged. "Well, nothing I guess," said Kushina. "Also, love to me isn't about being swiped off your feet all the time. It's all those little moments during the day," said Sakura as Kushina thought back into her memories of her parents' marriage. "Mom's right, I can't remember a day when Dad tells Mom that he loves her and I see them kiss at least once a day," thought Kushina. "So what do you think I should do?" "Well, just start with a sparring session, then ask him out to eat, and then go from there," said Sakura as Kushina nodded her head. "Sounds good," said Kushina as she stood up and headed toward the door. "But I don't want to be a grandma yet, Kushina," said Sakura as Kushina nodded before leaving. Once she was gone, Sakura disappeared in a flash of pink light and reappeared in front of the Uchiha's front door. She knocked on the door only to see her best friend Ino Uchiha standing there. "Did you have a nice night last night, forehead?" said Ino as Sakura groaned. "Don't remind me, piggy," said Sakura. "Well, it has been years since you had to work at night," said Ino as she leaned against the door frame. "One of the perks of being head of the hospital," said Sakura. "Hey, but Hinura's youngest is sick with the flu and Rick is out in the field." "So what brings you here, Sakura?" asked Ino. "Well, I would tell you that Fugaku may come back late," said Sakura as Ino raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because Kushina decided to stop sitting around waiting for him to ask her out, instead she is going to ask him out," said Sakura. "I hope to God he accepts," said Ino. "He just hasn't been the same since the Chunin exams in his hand." "Yeah, that wasn't a good day by any means," said Sakura as she thought back to the day almost 4 years ago. "So does the QB think they're ready for a war?" asked Ino as Sakura looked her right in the eyes. "No, they are far from ready," said Sakura. "What will happen to us if they lose?" asked Ino. "Best case, the quantum foxes will let us live but every once in a while attack us for food," said Sakura as she looked at the ground. "Worst, every single human being will be fed upon for food," said Sakura as Ino looked at the ground as well. "Let's pray to God that never happens," said Ino. Meanwhile in the woods, Fugaku sat on a log, his sword beside him. "Hey Fugaku," said Kushina as she appeared next to him. "Go away, Kushina," ordered Fugaku. "Why?" "Because I don't have time to deal with you today. I have some training to do, said Fugaku as he stood up. Why don't we train together? Asked Kushina as Fugaku walked past her. I don't think so, said Fugaku. What are you afraid that I will beat you? Yelled Kushina as Fugaku pulled out some more pills and put them in his hand. You know you shouldn't be in any pain anymore. That just shows how much you know, said Fugaku as suddenly Kushina disappeared in flash of yellow light only to reappear in front of Fugaku to snap the pills out of Fugaku's hand. She quickly said the pills into dust. What the hell are you doing? Yelled Fugaku. You are a coward, yelled Kushina as Fugaku glared at her. You have been a coward since the Chunin exams, hiding behind your injury in these pills. I have no idea what caused you to become like it, but snap out of it. Like I said, I am in pain, or did you forget that all the skin was removed from my hand by Reiji? Yelled Fugaku. No, you not. You think you're in pain. For the last 3 months, whenever you wanted a refill, I would replace your pills with sugar pills. The pain is in your head. Also, just for your information, my mother has removed your ability to get the real thing. Yelled Kushina as Fugaku glared even more at her. Now tell me what makes you like this. I don't have to tell you anything, hissed Fugaku before he started to walk away. However, Kushina suddenly threw a punch at Fugaku, who moved his head to the side, missing Fugaku's head by inches. Fugaku's eyes widened as Kushina's leg came up to hit him in the gut. He used his hand to block the hit, however he was forced backwards into a tree. Only to face another incoming fist. He ducked as Kushina's fist impacted the tree, making to break before crashing down. What are you doing? I am going to force you to tell me, answered Kushina as she creaked her knuckles as Fugaku pulled out his sword. Fine, if it forces you to leave me alone, said Fugaku as he charged forward, sword swinging. Kushina moved to avoid his attack, only to see another clone coming at her. The sword was within inches of Kushina when suddenly she disappeared and was replaced with a log. Fugaku's sword went straight through the log. Fugaku looked up only to see a dozen kunais flying at him. He quickly pulled his sword out of the log to block the incoming kunai, only to notice a tag on it at the last moment. The moment the kunai and the sword hit, a huge explosion sent Fugaku flying back and through a small tree. Kushina just stood there for a moment as Fugaku stood back up, covered with dirt and pieces of wood. Meanwhile, Sasuke sat at his own desk in the Konoha police department doing the thing he hated most of all, paperwork. Suddenly one of the officers popped his head into the office. Sir, we caught another of the Akamaki clan, kid, said the officer as Sasuke shook his head. What did they do this time? Asked Sasuke. Spray painted M on your outer wall, sir, said the officer as Sasuke shook his head. At least it is better than spitting on my wife and throwing rocks at my kids, said Sasuke. Just throw him in a holding cell for a few hours and then let me go. Yes, sir, said the officer as he closed the door. When will the Akamaki clan let it go? The kids that are doing it now never even meet Chuji. They are just repeating what the past generation of Akamaki clan did to my family, thought Sasuke as he went back to his paperwork. Meanwhile, Kushina was breathing heavily in and out as Fugaku stood back up. A small trail of blood ran from his mouth as the two of them stood in what was left of the woods. At least 3 down trees were down and huge creeks were crisscrossing the ground from where Kushina's fists hit the ground. Are you going to tell me? Why do you care so much? Asked Fugaku as he looked into her blue eyes. I just do, said Kushina. If you cared at all, you would just leave me alone, yelled Fugaku as Kushina's eyes narrowed before she disappeared in a flash of light before reappearing in front of Fugaku. Quickly she grabbed him by the collar before slamming him against one of the few remaining tree. Never, you will tell me even if I have to fight you every day until you tell me, and none of this bull about being afraid of Itachi coming back, said Kushina as Fugaku looked into her eyes knowing that she would carry out her threat. It's you, yelled Fugaku as Kushina pulled back, a confused look on her face. What? My black Sharingan is a double-edged sword. I can see into my enemy's mind, but I can't control what they think about, said Fugaku. Kib was the first to find that out, during the Chunin exams, if he thought about something that made me so angry that I lost control. Then Reiji used it again, that is why I didn't win. What does that have to do me? Asked Kushina. Do I have to spell it out to you, Kushina? Said Fugaku as he locked eyes on Kushina. They thought of you. Why would just thinking about me cause him to lose? Thought Kushina. You don't get it, do you? No, What is the worst thing they could have imagined happening to me? Said Kushina, sing. Kushina watched as Fugaku's eyes moved away from Kushina's eyes, telling her all she needed to know. Okay, what could be worse than death? Fugaku stayed quiet as Kushina looked at him. Come on, you already told me, it's about me, just spill it out. Okay, what Kib thought of was you and him instead of me together. Said Fugaku as Kushina's mind started to go into overdrive. Kib and me together, what could that mean? Thought Kushina. You can be a real barker, sometimes he means that you and Kib are romantically involved instead of you and Fugaku-kun. Said Inner Kushina as Kushina's eyes widened. He is afraid that if he loves me I won't love him back. Thought Kushina as let go of Fugaku. Are you saying you love me? Yes, I love you, said Fugaku as Kushina smiled, however she stopped at the sight of Fugaku's eyes. That is also why we can never be together. Why? Because of my hand. It's just scares and your pain is in your head, said Kushina. That may be true, but every morning I wake up and see my hand, I think of you, my biggest weakness, said Fugaku. Like we were taught on the first day of class, we must remove all weakness to be a good ninja. I don't think Iruka-sensei was talking about love, said Kushina with pain in her face. I don't care, it is all the same, a weakness is a weakness and must be removed. So please Kushina, find someone else to love, said Fugaku as Kushina looked down as tears started to roll down her face. But, there is only you, said Kushina. That is what your mom said to my dad before he left the village. In time you will find a new true love, said Fugaku as he tried to remain straight-faced. I am sorry. With that Fugaku turned and walked away, leaving Kushina standing in the woods crying. Meanwhile, in two separate trees stood Liz Uchiha and Kib Inuzuka. Brother, I am going to get your head on straight, thought Liz as she watched her brother walk away. On a different tree, Kib smiled. Yes, now that Fugaku is out of the way, maybe I can get Kushina to go out with me, thought Kib. Kushina, you have to come out, said Saya as she knocked on the door of her sister's room. Go away, said Kushina through her door. Meanwhile, Naruto walked up to his daughter. What is going on? Asked Naruto as Saya looked at her dad. All I know is it has something to do with Fugaku, said Saya as Naruto looked down. Just leave her alone for a bit, I'll be back, said Naruto as he disappeared in a flash of light and reappeared in front of the Uchiha front door. He knocked only to find Sasuke standing there. What do you want, dupe? Asked Sasuke. Sasuke, where is Fugaku? Said Naruto as Ino walked up. Forehead told me today that Kushina was going to ask Fugaku out, so maybe he is eating with her, said Ino. Ino, I see one huge problem with that idea. Kushina is currently crying her eyes out and I really want to know why, said Naruto as Ino lowered her head as Sasuke rolled his eyes. I'll find Fugaku and see what he did, said Sasuke as he walked outside. Just go find out what happened with Kushina. Meanwhile, in the frozen wasteland that used to be the ice village, two black foxes sat. Only a week left, said the first fox. Yeah, said the second as suddenly a third fox walked out of the spinning gate. Sir. Report, said Saito. Nothing new to report, sir. The humans are still keeping an eye on us. I wish you would let us go up there and eat them, said the first fox. No, we are moving out now, said Saito as suddenly more foxes appeared through the gate. Sir, the war isn't supposed to start for a week, said one of the foxes. Yes, we will not attack till the week is out, but we will be ready to attack right away, no delay, said Saito. Now get in your line. Yes, sir, said both of the foxes. Crap, 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 said the sand ninja in the outpost as he wrote down the message as fast as possible before putting it in the fox's mouth. Get this to the Hokage right away. With that, the fox disappeared in a puff of smoke. Meanwhile, Sasuke found his son, sitting on the dock where he himself had learned to do the fireball jutsu. Son. Dad, what did you do? Asked Sasuke calming as he stood behind Fugaku with his arms crossed. I have no idea what you're talking about, father, said Fugaku. Son, please don't lie to me, said Sasuke as Fugaku stood up. He was now his dad's height, so they looked into each other's eyes. You did something. Naruto showed up and said Kushina is crying up a storm. I told Kushina that I didn't want to go out with her, that's all, said Fugaku as Sasuke closed his eyes before placing a hand on his son's shoulder. Fugaku, my son, stop lying to me, said Sasuke as he opened his eyes again. Kushina is too much like her father and mother to be crying over you just saying no. Also, you were covered with cuts and bruises, Kushina, and you had to have fight, and I am guessing something happened. No, please tell me. It's not important, Dad. I disagree. How are you and Kushina going to work together on a team together with this hanging over you too? Said Sasuke. Dad, I am going to ask Uncle Naruto to remove me from Kushina's team, said Fugaku as Sasuke pulled back his hand and crossed his arms again as Fugaku looked at the wooden. I just can't work with her. Why? Said Sasuke. I just can't. I am going to reply to become Anbu, said Fugaku. Son, Anbu isn't a place to hide from Kushina. She will find you, and you know Naruto's rules. No one can be Genin before 10 and no Anbu before 18. So you have a good year and 1/2 before that can happen. Said Sasuke as he saw that his son had forgotten that key fact. Son, at this moment Naruto and Sakura are talking to Kushina about what happened, so either way I'll find out what happened. So let me hear your side of the story. Fine, I will tell you, said Fugaku. I told Kushina that I love her. Okay, then why is Kushina's crying? And that is why we could never be together. She is my biggest weakness and a ninja can't have weakness, said Fugaku as Sasuke shook his head. Son, I once thought that too, but in truth love is never a weakness, said Sasuke. It is something that can give you strength. You just don't understand, Dad. Then explain things to me. You know, when I told you and Mother that the reason why I attacked Kib's mind was because he showed me my biggest fear. Yes, he showed you Itachi. I guess that wasn't the case. No, he imagined him with Kushina, said Fugaku. It drove me crazy and I almost killed him. Good, said Sasuke as Fugaku looked at him. Son, whenever Chuji asked your mother out, it made my blood boil so much I wanted to cut his tea and watch him bleed. Love makes you want to fight for someone. When I was 12 I wasn't able to defeat Gaara and save Sakura from being killed, but Naruto did. Do you know why? He had the Kyuubi, said Fugaku. It helped, but it was Naruto's love of Sakura that let him save her. His love for her gave him strength he needed to save her, said Sasuke as his son looked down. Son, answer me this, anytime you're down who do you think of? Fugaku looked down, trying not to let his dad know. Kushina. So what will happen to you if Kushina is with someone else? Asked Sasuke. I don't know. I will tell you, it will tear you apart like it did for Chuji. Only you are lucky Kushina loves you back. She is my greatest weakness, Dad, and with the demon foxes coming I need all the strength I have, said Fugaku as Sasuke shook his head. No, son, she is your greatest strength, and the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can become truly powerful, and most importantly, son, you will be happy, said Sasuke as he turned and to leave his son standing on the docks. What about my black Sharingan? Son, Kushina is too much like her father, and in this case it is a very good thing. She will never turn her back on someone she truly loves, so don't worry about Kushina turning her back on you, said Sasuke before he disappeared. Meanwhile in the village, Liz leaned over the rail of a food stand to get close to Kib. Hello Kib-kun. What do you want now, blonde? Asked Kib as he ate some more barbecue. Well, I need your help. My brother was a complete jerk to Kushina, and I think if we both corner him, we can set him straight and put him and Kushina together, said Liz as Kib shook his head. And why in the world would I want to do that? Asked Kib as Liz looked at him confused. Well, him and Kushina are made for each other, just like you and I are, said Liz as Kib fought back laughter. Wow, I never thought you could get lamer, but here I am proven wrong yet again, said Kib as he stood up. Liz, I don't like you like that, okay? But Kib-kun, I am a fangirl, said Kib as he looked into Liz's eyes. I like someone else, anyhow. I will kill whoever has stolen Kib from me, yelled Liz to herself. Who? Asked Liz as Kib grinned. This dog likes a vixen, said Kib as he walked away, leaving a confused Liz standing there. Vixen? Who does that refer to? Thought Liz before it suddenly came to her. Vixen equals female fox. Kushina, he likes Kushina. That is why he doesn't want to get Kushina and Fugaku together, he wants her for himself. Meanwhile Sakura walked into her eldest daughter's room, only to find her laying face down on her bed. Her face in a pillow to help stiffen the tears. Sakura sat next to her daughter. Naruto stood in the doorway. Kushina, what happened? I don't want to talk about it, cried Kushina. Just tell me, dear, said Sakura as she placed her hand on Kushina's back. Kushina said that he loves me, said Kushina as Sakura raised an eyebrow. That's great, then why are you crying? Asked Sakura. He said that his love for me is his weakness, said Kushina. And he thinks that if he cut himself off from your love he will be a stronger ninja, said Naruto as Kushina sat up to look at her dad. Kushina's eyes were puffy from crying as tears kept falling. Yeah, said Kushina as Naruto walked over and sat beside his daughter. Kushina, I wish I had something to make you feel better right now, but I don't have anything, said Naruto as he put his arms around his daughter. Kushina, do you really love him? Yeah, then all you can do is just wait for him to come around, said Naruto. If he loves you like he said, in time he will come. So wait for him, that's your big suggestion, Dad. Great help, Dad, said Kushina. I can't get Fugaku to like me if I just sit here. Kushina, that is how your dad got me to love him. He waited for me to realize that I belonged with him. You're lucky actually, Fugaku, and you love each other, just give him a little more time. He is after all a Uchiha, said Sakura as Kushina nodded. Thanks, said Kushina as Naruto and Sakura stood up and left the room. Our little girl is growing up, said Sakura as she closed the door to Kushina's room. A little too fast for my liking, said Naruto as he turned to look at Sakura with was grinning like a fox. Naruto knew that grin all too well. He loved that grin and what it meant. Sakura stepped toward her husband and placed a hand on his chest before kissing him. Naruto and Sakura disappeared in a flash of light and reappeared in their bedroom. Naruto began kissing down his wife's end as Sakura med, however before it could go any farther a puff of smoke appeared next to them. Lord Naruto, said the fox as Naruto and Sakura stood next to each other flushed-faced. Yes, said Naruto. The demon foxes are on the move, said the fox as Naruto's eyes widened. What? We still have a week, said Sakura. Well, they aren't on the march, looks like they're just forming ranks, said the fox. Okay, then inform Gaara and the other cages, I'll tell Kyuubi. Ordered Naruto as the fox nodded before he disappeared. Naruto looked at the floor as Sakura placed her hand on his shoulder. Looks like war is coming, Sakura-chan. I know, and if anyone in this village can protect us it's you, Naruto-kun, said Sakura. I don't know how we will get through this, but I think we will. Naruto nodded his head. Sakura-chan, I need you to promise me something. Of course, Naruto-kun, said Sakura as Naruto turned around and looked his wife in the eyes. Promise me, if it looks like the village has fallen, that you get the kids and get out of village, said Naruto as Sakura's eyes widened as she shook her head. Sorry Naruto-kun, I can't make that promise. I know you would never leave me behind, don't ask me to do it to you. Please Sakura-chan. Naruto-kun, if it comes to that I will make sure the kids get out, but I am never abandoning you, that is what I promised to do, and don't even think about trying to talk me out of it, said Sakura as Naruto looked down and nodded his head. Fine, said Naruto, I have to inform the Kyuubi. Naruto walked outside into his backyard just as the sun was starting to go down. He bit down on his thumb, drawing some blood before running through hand signs. He slammed his palm against the ground. A few seconds later the Kyuubi appeared in a ball of flames. What is it, Kit? Asked Kyuubi as his daughter Mai appeared next to him. She had grown during the years of training under her father in the demon fox realm. They are on the move, said Naruto as Kyuubi nodded his head. I am going to call all the cages together. We can't stand against this threat alone. Mai, go to talk with Kushina. Okay Dad, said Mai as she walked away. Kit, no human can stand against this storm, said Kyuubi, and I don't think even we can stop them in our home realm, let alone here. Well, it is still our best chance of fighting them, said Naruto. Kit, I haven't told Sakura this, but I am going to offer my life as a peace offering. Maybe if they kill me they will let everyone be at peace, or at least not everyone, said Kyuubi as Naruto shook his head. No, I don't think that will work, said Naruto. They said they want to rule, and from what you told me, their leaders love bloodshed. Naruto, this war will be the end for both of us, said Kyuubi. We will find a way, said Naruto. I have been working on different seals and other things. Those may slow them down, but nothing can stop them, said Kyuubi. Meanwhile at the Uchiha estate, Liz ran into her brother's room. Fugaku, yelled Liz as Fugaku looked at her. You know it is common to knock first, said Fugaku as he sat there with a sword-shaping stone. Fugaku, you are an idiot, yelled Liz. I am guessing you talked to Kushina, said Fugaku as he ran the stone across the blade. I was there, said Liz. I was wondering who put Kushina up to it, said Fugaku. Actually no, I was about to get her when she came, said Liz, but that isn't the point. She loves you and you love her. Yeah, what is your point? Asked Fugaku as Liz raised her hand up, trying not to scream at him. That is my point, said Liz. Well, Kib told me that if I tell Kushina why we couldn't be together, maybe she would find someone else and be happy, said Fugaku as Liz's eyes shoot wide opened. Kib, he put you up to this? Asked Liz. Yeah, why? Asked Fugaku. He planned this, my god, he planned this all, said Liz as she ran her hands through her hair. What are you talking about? Asked Fugaku. Fugaku, Kib has played you for a fool, said Liz. I asked him to help me talk to you about what a mistake you were making with Kushina and he just smiled. Fugaku just looked at his sister, then he told me that he doesn't like me. Yeah, I know he has had a crush on someone for years, he just wouldn't tell me, said Fugaku. I know why, he told me he likes Kushina, said Liz as Fugaku's eyes shot wide open as his black Sharingan glared with hate and spun around so fast the Liz had trouble keeping up with it. What? Growled Fugaku. He has played you to get Kushina for himself, said Liz as Fugaku slammed his sword back into its sheath. I am going to kill him, growled Fugaku. He always told me I had to remove weakness to be stronger. He has played me for years. Brother, you let yourself be played, said Liz, however you may let be able to stop him. Fugaku walked out the door to find his ex-best friend. Meanwhile on the snow-covered plans hundreds of foxes, mostly black, sat in line waiting. However, one fox stood apart from the others, snow stuck to his black fur. He was Saito, his red eyes scanning the field. Suddenly a portal opened up beside him and out stepped another black fox, only inside of one, 10 tails whipped around in the air. I can smell that the stories are true, this entire world smells, said the fox. Once we remove the humans and other mortals it will smell good, father, said Saito, and the sooner we get this done the better. We should have just attacked. Saito, yelled the 10-tailed fox Sakito as he used one of his tails to knock his son into the snow. Show some respect for the code. Yes, sir, said Saito as he stood back up using his tail to whip the snow from his body. However, if I remember, the code allows scouting missions as long as we don't kill anyone. Sakito brought one of his tails to his chin. You are correct, son, they could kill you but no human can kill a demon fox. You may leave along with 2 other soldiers and conduct your search, but no king till the war begins. Understood, father, said Saito as he walked away. Kib, yelled Fugaku as he stormed up to his best friend who was training inside his clan's training field. Kib looked up and saw Fugaku standing on top of his roof. What do you want? Asked Kib as Fugaku jumped down into the small training yard. You used me, snapped Fugaku as he pulled out his sword. Yes, I did, said Kib. Now what are you going to do about it? I am going to cut your tea and watch you bleed to death, said Fugaku as Kib broke out laughing as he crossed his arms. Isn't my death taking it a little too far? Said Kib. Nothing is far too for the one you love, said Fugaku as Kib grinned. There, we're in agreement, said Kib. Now I am not in the mood to kick your ass, so I suggest we do this a non-violent way. We let Kushina decide. Why would you agree to that? Kushina said she loves me, asked Fugaku as Kib grinned. That was before you broke her heart and make her cry, said Kib as Fugaku frowned. See Fugaku, I planned ahead, I knew that you would shoot your month off breaking her heart. That will give me the opening for me. That is where you are wrong, everything I know about love is that is all-consuming and unbreakable, said Fugaku as he glared at Kib who just kept grinning. Maybe, but at this age love is always in flux, and besides I already have a leg up over you, said Kib. I don't see how, I am here teammate and we were pretty much raised together, said Fugaku. It's all about instincts, Fugaku, said Kib as Fugaku looked at him puzzled. A fox is much closer to a dog than it is form a snake, which I believe is the animal you use. That has nothing to do with anything, said Fugaku. Wrong again, my friend, said Kib as he turned his back to Fugaku. Now let the game begin. Fugaku just stood there as his friend walked calmly inside. The next morning Kushina got up even earlier than normal, One of the many drawbacks of being a new Jonin was early morning patrol shift they always seemed to get. It took her only a few minutes to get dressed and out the door with Mai at her side. Slowly they walked down the empty streets until they reached the main gate. Standing there waiting for them was Anko Hitaki. She was dressed almost identical like her mother used to dress. Only instead of a grey cloak she had a red one, her tunin vest visible between the cloak and her shirt. Standing next was Emi Nara, dressed in a black robe like her mother still wears, only instead of a red slash hers was a deep shade of blue. Also she had her hair pulled back into a single ponytail that reached her shoulders. "Glad to see that you can show up on time," said Anko as she looked at her watch. "You're one to talk, Anko. Your dad is famous for being late," said Kushina. "Come on, let's start this patrol," said Emi as she turned and headed out the gate. "This entire place smells," said one of the three black foxes as they stood on a small hill looking out over a walled village. "It does have an odor, but it isn't so bad," said another of the foxes. "What do you think, Saita?" "It doesn't matter what I think. Our lord has spoken, we will destroy this village soon," said Saita, even though he was thinking, "It doesn't smell too bad, in fact it smells good actually." "I know that, sir," said one of the foxes, "but you have to admit these humans are far more interesting than those giant lizards that used to walk around on this world. It is almost a shame we have to kill them all." "I wouldn't say in front of my father if I were you," said Saita as he looked at the glowing faces of the mountain in the center of the village. "I understand," said one of the foxes before suddenly going up in flames. "Ha!" Saita turned to look at the black fox who was now burning before falling down into a heap of burnt F. "We are under attack," yelled the last of the black foxes. "Tell me something I don't know," yelled Saita as he got into stance and sniffed the air. "There is only one of them, fire type. My daughter of the QB. Sir, let's fall back," said the other fox as suddenly a razor-thin line of fire shot from a tree cutting along the fox's upper front leg. The fox moved back as some blood rolled down his leg. Saita looked toward the tree as his eyes started to glow as the tree suddenly exploded. Mai jumped down across from Saita. "Nice try, Mai," said Saita, "you will make an excitant prisoner." Suddenly kunai started to rain down on the two enemy foxes. Saita just laughed as the kunai rolled of him. However, out of nowhere, the second fox screamed in pain. Saita spun his head around to see that a kunai had landed inside the wound. That shouldn't have hurt. Demon foxes are immortal to all human attack. How could a kunai hurt him? "Rasengan!" yelled a blonde and pink-haired young woman with a ball of energy in her hand. Her aim was true. She hit at the fox's wound, causing his leg to be blown off as the blood sped onto the ground. Saita's eyes widened, trying to figure out how that was possible. Suddenly he felt a tail at his end. He turned back around to see Mai had her tail at his end as fire danced across the tail. "Looks like you are my prisoner," snapped Mai. "For the moment," said Saita as a black portal opened beside the injured fox. He hopped his way through the portal before disappearing. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.